TC-105X wheels, brand new edition. You know, this is the lineup of what the TC-105N has evolved to over the years. Now, WedsSport, if you don't know their history, they've got quite a history here. Let me put on my readers here because my eyeballs are done. But let's see here. Since 1965 is when Weds Company Limited first started doing the wheels. First started doing the wheels in Japan, and by 1977 they made their mark offering the first forged three-piece wheels in Japan, and got into motor racing at that time, and eventually formed the WedsSport brand in 1984. And since then, WedsSport wheels have been used in just about any form of motorsports out there. Now let me tell you a little bit about the TC-105N and its heritage. Now, it basically started in 1993 as the TC-05 and kind of evolved from there. The 10-spoke was originally released in 2006, and that's where the TC-105 or 10.5N came from. And basically, it was built at a time that the cars were a lot lighter than they are today, and they basically made the wheel work with those lighter cars. And over the years, as the cars have gotten heavier and putting more stress and strain on the vehicles, cars have gotten heavier, they've gotten faster and quicker, larger brake systems, all these things have been put on the vehicles, so they had to make the wheels stronger over the years. But they didn't want to add much weight to it. So a few of the things that they kind of incorporated over the years, and I'll see if I can stop this thing from spinning here for a second, and I'll grab it over here. But you can see, maybe we can get a close-up of this. One of the patents that WedsSport came out with was the patent to use the ball milling here, ball end milling. So they'll go in and mill these with a ball, and the reason why you're better off doing it with a ball is because you don't get the stress risers you would get if you had anything that had a normal edge to it. So it puts a nice fine radius in there, pulls out a lot of the weight. And you know, as Japanese manufacturing and Japanese engineering goes, it's all about the details. And as far as the details go, one of the newest things on these wheels that I'd like to talk about is the actual finish. So typically your paint finish on wheels is going to be about 50 to 60 nanometers thick. And you know, it doesn't sound like a lot, but over the course of an entire wheel, you know, you might put a half a pound of paint on there, or a pound of paint. I mean, it just depends how many coats, of course. But what they did with the WedsSport, and another way to actually reduce weight, is instead of using a standard method to spray it on here or a powder coating method, they actually use a, I believe it's called a CVD or a PVD, an actual vapor deposition way to actually just make it kind of go on here, much like the coatings that they'll put on some of the high-end tooling that we use in the machine shop. So what they're able to do is put a really strong, hard surface on here that's super thin. It doesn't eat up a lot of the weight on the vehicle. Some of the other things you'll notice on these wheels, and most of the higher-end Japanese wheels, you'll also see this, they've got these pockets here, so in case you have an application where you have to use some type of wheel spacer, you've already got the cutouts there so that you can go in and you know, use that to your advantage, so you're not having any type of interference with that. The other thing that they changed up on this wheel is they've always used a proprietary aluminum alloy, something really close to what would be a A356 that they cast like cylinder heads and stuff out of. But they always tweak that alloy over the years, and again, this is a further refinement of making a better alloy that actually makes the wheel a lot stronger. So, any questions so far? Do we got one here?
Yeah, we got one from a viewer, Mike, just asking if there are different colorways for the wheel.
So, as of right now, this is the launch color, the launch edition of the wheel. But basically, what happens with some of the Japanese wheel manufacturers, as you may or may not know, the Japanese wheel manufacturers for the JDM market, they'll actually have a pretty limited spread of colors and offerings, and then when it kind of comes over to the US, there's like a US spec and things like that some of the manufacturers will actually send back to Japan and say, hey, we want we want them gold, we want them bronze, we want all these other different color options. And so WedsSport USA is working on basically bringing out some newer colors and stuff that'll be just for the US market. And then the funny thing that'll happen is in Japan, they'll see that and they'll actually, the wheels will get shipped here and then shipped back over to Japan to reach their market. So just a funny thing that happens in the Japanese wheel market.
Yeah, we got another question too. Sorry, Mike.
Yes.
A viewer is asking, what is the weight of that wheel you're holding? And if I recall, it's an 18-inch wheel, so it might be.
I believe, let's see here, we can tell you. So this is an 18 by 11. And Joe, do you mind running and going checking that out? So we're gonna have Joe.
It's listed as 19 pounds.
Oh, 19 pounds, look at that. So that's 19 pounds. For comparison, I don't think we got a weight on this. This is actually the magnesium race edition. So, you know, they'll make some magnesium editions and stuff that they actually put on the racetrack on certain vehicles. This one, of course, a center lock style. You mind checking out the weight on that? And what's funny is how close they are getting now to the weights of the actual magnesium racing wheels. I mean, I'm guessing that's going to be maybe 16, 15 pounds. So really close to what we're seeing here for a pretty like size wheel there. So one of the things going on with that technology, just going along there, we talked about the ball mill cutting that's on here. We talked about some of the other things, and I'll show you here. This little knurled section right here, it helps to keep that tire from spinning on the rim. Something that happens a lot if you got a real high horsepower application. You can actually just see that tire just kind of keep going as you get a smoother and smoother surface on there. But by putting this knurled surface on here, it bites into the part of the tire that kind of grabs that there, and it'll keep it from moving. Not entirely, but it'll really reduce it in most cases. What do we get on that, Joe?
This is 21 pounds.
21 pounds. Okay, so it's actually.
It's 19 pounds.
Okay, 21 pounds. Well, here, just to be safe, put it on the same scale.
Pounds, not kilos.
Okay, so that's 21 pounds. Here, hand that one to me, Joe. Just curious here. I think it is a little bit bigger, but we'll see here. It is, yeah, so this is a 12. And face-wise, though, I think it is still a 18. So can you weigh that on the same scale, just so we have it? So we're going to get it on the actual same scale, apples to apples comparison. Yes?
Question from a viewer, is it a cast or forged wheel?
So it is a flow-formed cast wheel. So the problem with using the term cast wheel is there's super crappy cast wheels out there, and then there's actually really good cast wheels. A lot of the ones we can get domestically or from overseas and stuff, they use the cheaper cast processes. But if it's the flow form, the low pressure, all those kinds of things, those are the ones that are going to be on the higher end. It can give you almost, as close to forged as you can get, from that. What did you find, Joe?
19.4.
19.4. Okay, so this wheel here actually a little bit heavier. So gives you an idea of just how far they've come and how much they've incorporated in these wheels to just keep that weight reduction down on them. And let's see if I miss anything. There was a lot to talk about on here. That's why you're getting me to see me in my glasses here to go over this. We talked about that. It's actually what they call it is a vapor and vacuum deposition of paint, which is how they get it in such a thin layer on there to evenly coat it. And I think 2006. Okay, so this one here, actually, this is the TC-105X GT. This is the die-forged magnesium wheel. This is what they kind of used to test the actual, what they call the end frame on this. So this was kind of used to help develop that over the years. Yes?
I've got a question here from another viewer asking about price point, what that 18 by 11 starts off at. And
That's a good question. What do we got that?
MSRP for the US side is $625, which is pretty affordable.
625 is the MSRP on the 18 by 11?
Yes.
Okay. So gives you an idea what's out there and stuff. And yeah, WedsSport, you can find out more, check out the site, check out the different designs and stuff that they have available. We'll be stopping back here a little bit later today with some more from WedsSport, and what you may or may not know is that WedsSport in Japan is also a big distribution company. So a lot of those smaller lines and stuff like that that are hard to get here in the USA can actually be obtained through WedsSport, like Kakimoto Racing and stuff like that. So we'll talk about more of that a little bit later on. Any other questions about the wheels before we leave you?
We're good.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much. We appreciate your time. Hopefully you learned a little bit about these Flowform cast wheels, high performance, lightweight, and just years and years, about 15 years of technology, just refinement in these. So the TC-105X, if they make an application for you, be sure